and their masks and how it's preventing us from going to Disneyland. And Jeremy's going to love it. Right, Jeremy?
I'm going to love it. I'm excited for it already. I also have a really embarrassing story to tell you before you start recording the podcast.
Okay.
This is just like me and you talking. I don't want to, but I guess these people will hear it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. People on Instagram can't hear you. So I'm going to go. I'm going to hear Jeremy just said he has an embarrassing story. So if you want to hear his embarrassing story, go to youtube.com/EarzUp, I think. I think that's our YouTube chat.
eartube.u/com.
That's right. us.org is really the website. So check it out. And I don't know. We'll see you there.
So
tell me your embarrassing story.
I was gonna call you with this today. Every day for work, I have a call, usually at 9 a.m. with my office in London.
Okay.
And so I get up, I come in so I sit down at my desk right here, and I'm like, it was like 5 of the hour waiting for the call. So I have my laptop open, my screen on, and I'm waiting for the call to start, and I can't start anything new. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I've got 3 minutes till this call. So I'm just sort of sitting there, and my recorder is right here. And I posted a recorder video today. So I was like, well, at that point, I was like, I'm going to work out how to play this song on the recorder. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know how this happened. It has never happened before. My Microsoft Teams, which is what we use to video chat, turns on, and everyone in Europe is watching me jam on the recorder. And I have no idea that they're there because I put headphones in the computer so that when I'm video conferencing, I have headphones on, but I don't have them in because I'm playing the recorder. So I can't hear them going, "We can see you." Like, "Hello, we can see you." And I'm just playing. And then I notice that it's 10 o'clock or whatever. And I look over and I'm like, and they're sending screenshots of me playing back into the chat. So I just see pictures of myself playing the recorder. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm like, the light on the camera's on. I was like, oh my God. And they basically tortured me for an hour after. There was no meeting. It was an hour of making fun of me.
That's good team building, man.
So, yeah. They said COVID was worth it for that.
Wow.
But here's the thing, like, what scared me wasn't the fact that, like, I mean, because some people who I work with follow me on Instagram, whatever, and they see what I play. But like, what scared me, what sent absolute chills down my spine was like, this is my bedroom. Usually 5 minutes before I get on that call, I'm coming out of the shower and I throw clothes on in my bedroom, literally right here in front of it. It's not, I don't have a palatial space. I have a desk and a bed and a closet.
Yeah.
I get dressed, I walk in, towel on, put shorts and a t-shirt on and jump on the call.
Yeah.
I could have been naked. I could have been picking my nose. God knows what I'm doing. This is my bedroom.
The most benign thing in the world. You're playing the recorder. Thank God, man.
I can't even.
The spirit of music was watching out for you.
What?
The spirit of music was looking over you.
Yeah, it was like, look, this camera's on. Just occupy yourself with this and nothing else.
Right.
So I immediately went on Amazon and ordered like the little camera cover that slides back and forth that you can put on the laptop. Today I have like paper taped over it because I'm like, I can't risk this. It's absolutely. I was sweating, like sweat. I was like, what did I do?
God.
It sucked.
Yeah.
So that was my embarrassing story, and I was like, I got to tell somebody. I should call Jason.
Well, you told the YouTube, so there you go. The YouTube.
Yeah, now
people.
everybody knows.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get something to drink. What are you drinking right now?
I've had 2 Manhattans, but now I'm having a rosé.
I'm gonna have some rosé too.
Sounds good. Yeah. And then we'll get to it. We got a lot to discuss tonight. I got some good stories.
Good. I hope so. I'll be right back.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll just the mic will still work even if the camera is converted. What are we talking about in here, guys? Disney Song Blog's here. I haven't. Does Disney Song Blog? I feel like I haven't seen any new music lately. What's going on over there? I have to say I took a bit of a break until today, and I played Under the Sea. That was new, and that was hard. but we do what we do. We got Ryan in the chat, Thomas in the chat. Who else? Terrence is in the chat. I'm like, I don't know. You could have been doing something worse. Yes, Kristen, I could have been doing something worse in my bedroom. And let's just leave it at that. But I had the chills that, work for me too. I'm like, there's no time to work out this music and play and do my job. Here's a podcast. I tried Soma, only the guava passion fruit, but it was good. I don't know what Soma is. I think I must have missed that. That must have been a regular show that I wasn't on. Jeremy, I miss you. Terrence, I'm getting a complex. Every time I come on the show, you bail. And I told Jason I was getting a little worried, but he said that you really had a legit reason to not be on. So I agreed. There was a dude that got caught doing stuff.
What are you talking about? I'm going to move my camera. Sorry, this is very unprofessional.
There's nothing worse than getting caught playing with your flute during the meeting.
That is true, my friend. All right, let us go.
Let us go.
Hold on. I still haven't fixed my soundboard, dude. I need to buy that friggin' license.
What do you mean? I didn't know something was... What's going on with the soundboard?
Well, it was on a trial basis, and I didn't know that.
Oh.
So now I have to basically pay for it because my sound files are in the wrong... They're in WAV, and this thing doesn't take WAV, so I have to, convert it. It's just a stupid mess, dude.
Well, can you keep it free if you convert the music to not WAV?
I don't know, but it's probably only like $20 or something, and I've gotten $20 worth of use out of it. So,
fine.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I can convert your audio from WAV. That takes 6 seconds, but
yeah, no, I appreciate it. I can do it too. Okay.
Okay. Oh, wow.
You're not the only. You're not the only.
I didn't
big
realize
boy
you had
here.
so much. I don't know. Sometimes you surprise me with what you know.
File conversion, bro. I grew up in the era of Napster and LimeWire to a certain extent. I know how to convert audio. Okay.
Well, I know that you know stuff like that, but then sometimes I'm like, well, why doesn't the audio sound good? And you're like, oh, the thing's unplugged, and I'm like, well, I don't know. That's the easy thing.
Why won't this open? See, more importantly, why won't this open?
Why won't this open?
Dude.
What? Why won't what open?
Dude, don't
your Word doc that has your write-up in it?
No, my just don't worry about it. It'll take longer to explain. Now you know what
Mr. P likes my background, just saying.
Oh, that's good. I like your front ground. Let's see. Where's the in-depth music? Oh, it's right here. Okay, got it. Okay, hold on. All right, ready? Let's record. All right, here we go. Ready? All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Ears Up in Depth coming at you live on YouTube, and then more importantly later on in podcast form for the majority of people. Jeremy, are you with me as always? I would like to say
I'm with you as always. It's great to be here.
Thanks, man. It's great to be here with you as well. I love your new animated background.
You can't get enough of it, I would imagine. Just like me.
What is it? It's your logo and then some family photos, or what's happening back there?
It's my 1987 trip to Mount Rushmore.
Chattanooga.
World's giant ball of twine.
I love that. I love twine.
Yeah, it's a few pictures. It's a few videos of the final illuminations, reflections of Earth.
So is this something that you just have playing normally? This is what I imagine. Like you wake up to this, like it's going 24/7.
No, I made it specifically for this. Not this tonight, but when we first started doing all this because of COVID, and we were doing more of actually I wanted to do it for the tiki room, the quarantine tiki room.
Oh yeah.
And I had made it and put it on my a television, And I was like, I know, for the quarantine room, I'll put a TV behind me and have this going,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But the quality camera I have and the way whatever the frequency of the TV is, it just blew out and it just looked white when I tried it on the camera, so it didn't work. But I've invested in this projector to project things on my model castle. And it turns out it has this other use, which is it doesn't blow out the camera when I project it onto my shades.
Wow. So, that's what we call in the business a 2-for-1.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate
So my
that.
shades are acting as the green screen tonight.
Well, I love that that's the investment that you're making into this show.
It's all for EarzUp. It's everything I do.
That's right. Well, and everything we do is for concierge. You go to concierge.com. We're going to be talking about park openings and, closings, unfortunately, but concierge is your gateway to the parks right now. They will tell you exactly how to get over to Walt Disney World, what parks are open, what parks aren't, how to handle the no fast pass sort of thing, booking any reservations you have, any sort of things like that. Concierge.com. They've been supporting us through this shutdown. I don't even know if it's a lockdown anymore. But they're here for us and they're here for you, and they're friends of the show. So please support them. They're a small family-run business, and they get no extra money for the services that they provide you. So use them. Use them as your personal concierge or a butler, I guess. I don't know. I mean, they're not going to deliver water to you, but to tell you how to get free water, I don't know. Anyway, check it out. Concierge.com. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Very much.
And also things are changing on the ground so fast. I mean, Disney's updating. Today I got an email from Disney that said, "Oh, we're going to give you more." Right until today, you had 3 slots, right? Like they were limiting how many people could go into the park. I think they're not getting that many because they released more to annual pass holders today. That email came out at like 5 p.m. today. I'm like, what? Oh, there's more?
So you mean people aren't claiming the spots that were released?
That's what I believe.
I would honestly, I was surprised reading some of the, social media commentary about the parks opening. I was surprised at how many people were not going, who were vocal about not going.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. I think that they are, in fact, the smart people.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and I'll talk a little bit about that in my first story. But what is a Disney World trip right now? Is it the same thing that you remember going with Nana and Yaya and Papu and, Pop Pop? No, it's not.
No, it's probably not. But different doesn't necessarily mean bad.
Yes, it does.
I know. And we're different. You're bad.
Yeah, that's right. Wait. Anyway, do you want to start, Jeremy, or should I start ranting already?
Why don't you get your rant out of the way? Let's go.
Well, both of my stories are rants. So
oh God.
Why don't you
start? I don't
start?
have a rant tonight. I'll start.
You start. You'll be the breath of fresh air. You'll be the tiny pocket-sized Banaka for this show. Remember Banaka?
Remember it?
Yeah.
I use it every day, Banaka.
All right, go ahead, please, Jeremy.
Well, I wanted to update you because we've talked before about how the NBA has taken Walt Disney World by storm, and that's where they're going to be playing the rest of their 2019-2020 season.
That's right.
So I just wanted a little update on how the NBA is settling in at Walt Disney World because they're all there now. So as you know, the NBA has taken up residence in the so-called bubble of Walt Disney World. That's what they're calling it. They will officially restart their 2019-2020 season coming up soon on July 30th. But players from the 22 participating teams are already settling into their surroundings at the Florida resort, some better than others.
Okay.
There's been some ups and some downs.
I can only imagine.
They've already been practicing on makeshift basketball courts set up in converted ballrooms around the resort and at Disney's ESPN Wide World of Sports. The players are being housed in 3 resorts, the brand new Grand Destino Tower at Coronado Springs, Disney's Crown Jewel Resort, the Grand Floridian, and Disney's Yacht Club, which is over in the Epcot Resort area.
I love it.
Dallas Mavericks coach Rick Carlisle said, quote, "We're going to have a great attitude about it because we realize this is probably a once in a lifetime type thing," which I hope it is.
Yeah.
"This will go down in history as one of the really unique events in sports history. So our guys have a great attitude about it. The quarantine was fine. Accommodations are terrific."
Okay.
Uh,
Is there any word, Jeremy, if they're going to be piping in game audio from other games to like the TV feeds when they finish the story or when they finish the season? Do you know what I'm
when
saying?
they finish the season.
Or whenever they're playing their games, right? So
Yeah.
the reason I bring it up is the English Premier League over in England, obviously. Whenever you watch the feed on like NBC Sports or whatever, if you're watching it on cable, they actually they've taken crowd noise and isolated it from other games, and then they sort of mix it into the sound of the lads playing ball. But you can also
Okay.
go on. You can go online on the NBC Sports website and hear the game with no audio. It's just the guys yelling and screaming at each other on the pitch. So I don't know if and that's the only live sport I've seen so far. So I don't know if I'm just wondering if basketball is gonna do some of that too. And I don't know which I like better. At first it was a little unnerving because you're soccer is as much about the pomp and the fan sort of interaction as it is about the game. Well, 60-40, but it's weird like hearing just generic sort of crowd noise rather than specific team chants,
Mhm.
And I know that's less so for basketball, obviously, but I don't know if you knew that or not.
Well, the answer is I don't. I would imagine here. Okay, so here I'm just going to go and speculate because
Speculate radio.
I
I don't know. That shouldn't have been as funny as it.
the most
As it was.
unsure radio on earth. When Disney shows like the Christmas parade, like when they broadcast the Christmas Day parade or anything like that, it's so fake. You can tell that there's fake crowd roaring in because first of all, no one roars at like every single thing in a parade, like just like
Yeah, for sure.
whistling it. But that's what they would have you believe. But then like you get a glimpse of the crowd standing on the side of Main Street USA, and they're all just like,
Well, and
like there's no crowd.
Taryn and I have been there when they're shooting some of that stuff. Just happened to be in November, so it's hot. It's 85 degrees, and people have sweaters on and stuff, because they gotta. And people are like into it, but it's always fake noise. So I just Googled a little bit about what we were talking about, and there's a few articles about the NBA talking around using fake crowd noise from NBA 2K video games.
Oh, it's going to be from a video game.
But, which sort of makes sense. It's already Foleyed, it's already recorded, and it is generic. People going, good job, or whatever, and people cheering and stuff. So,
Well, I want to hear, oh, way. But I guess that's soccer.
yeah, that's soccer. I don't know.
well.
A fake crowd noise. The jury's still out. Anyway, I apologize. Go ahead.
I think I'll take it. I don't know. Whatever. They're going to do it. So whatever. Just get on board. We have no choice.
It is cool, though, like watching it without the crowd noise, for soccer at least, because you get to hear the level of communication between the players.
Well, that's like when you watch the NFL and sometimes they give you the mic that's in their helmets and it's like, wow, or like just the mic on the field. So actually they would be smart to rather than try to fake out what we're used to, why not take advantage of a situation and show us the difference? Show us what that is, like the cool thing. Like we never get that. This is again once in a lifetime. Give us the weird audio.
That's right.
Give it to me weird.
Time is already weird. Let's get weird audio.
Right.
Which I feel like is
I think
this
it'd
show.
be a nice novelty. I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The NBA provided welcome kits in each of the players' rooms that included Amazon Fire Stick TV devices, so the players would have more options in the usual resort TV system. But as for what the players brought with them, JaVale McGee, Lakers center. I'll just read how I think he sounds. Yes, I packed like I'm moving into a new apartment or something. I brought my bike. I brought my gaming setup. What else did I bring? I mean, I brought a lot of stuff that I wouldn't bring if I wasn't just a regular road trip, obviously. I had like 10 bags. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's how he
That's
sounds.
JaVale McGee. I have a couple other quotes because we want to hear what the players really think. Paul Millsap, a forward for the Nuggets, says, quote, I brought everything I could possibly bring. I'm not sure how this is going to unfold, so I kind of prepared myself for whatever. I brought Xbox, I brought books. Besides a bed, I brought everything, man.
Do you want to hear how JaVale McGee actually sounds?
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take questions for JaVale.
Ups and downs. Can you just talk
him.
about coming to the Warriors, with everybody?
Up and down.
Here he is.
Coming to the Warriors was definitely a blessing. I came on a non-guaranteed.
So you were close.
I got it very
got it
close.
very
I'm like the Jimmy Fallon of Disney News.
Yeah, terrible.
Myers Leonard, a Heat center, said, I've heard that the player lounges are nice. I saw some stuff on social media where guys were playing bags. Let me just tell you something. I come in the sticks. Number one. Number two, I went to the University of Illinois. I am nice at bags, so anybody can meet me there.
I'm nice at bags?
What the hell does any of that mean?
Okay, let me translate. I think what he's saying is whenever I'm waiting for my bags off the airplane or something like that, and if you come up to me and you're a fan, I'm nice to you.
Oh, he's nice at baggage claim?
Yeah, baggage claim. Yeah, so don't be afraid to come up and say hi. But if you meet me when I'm trying to get a Frappuccino or any sort of egg McMuffin or anything like that, never, and I repeat, ever approach me during these two critical times in my day. It's subtext.
I don't know. I thought that maybe bags was like cornhole.
I'm like, and nice is good. Like, I'm nice at bags, which means I'm good at cornhole.
Yeah, that's what I thought maybe that meant.
I don't know,
he
maybe.
goes, but what is, he goes, he literally goes, I come from the sticks. Number one. Number two, I went to the University of Illinois. But like, what does the sticks number one, number two mean?
The sticks is like the, way out in the wilderness, right?
Yes. I'm also from the sticks, but I'm not from the sticks number one, number two. I don't know what that means. Does that mean he pees and then poops when he's in the sticks? Number one, number two.
I'm from the sticks number one, comma, number two.
Oh!
The second
my
point
God.
I'm trying to make is...
You got it. I read this 16 times, and I'm like, what is he trying to say?
I listened to a lot of really garbage music. At least I did when growing up. So like I'm used to deciphering screams and grunts in music. So I think I have a noggin for translating gibberish.
Well, this makes sense because it's like those memes, where they say like punctuation matters. This guy says, I come from the sticks, number one. Number two, I went to the University of Illinois. I am nice at bags, so anybody can meet me there. Maybe he really is nice at bags.
Well, I think what you're saying is right because someone in the chat, Disney Song Blog, says bags is another name for cornhole. So you were correct, Jeremy. So maybe and maybe he played bags. I've never heard it called bags. This is me. This is a 42-year-old adult man going, bags must mean baggage claim. I'm like half a fucking boomer. I probably might delete that. I don't know. We'll see.
Uh-oh.
I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm saying. My internet slang is weird now. I don't know. I'm nice at bags.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only game I could think of that involves a bag would be cornhole, but I don't really like cornhole, to be honest.
Well, also getting married, if you know what I mean. The bag. Slang for your wife. Okay.
All right, I got one more quote from Joe Ingles, a guard for the Jazz. The first 48 hours sucked. I don't know if you have ever been locked in a room with no window before. I can't open my window. I don't think anyone can. When you're in a room for a couple of months, it's going to get a bit stanky at times, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And, they do it so like little kids don't fall out or people don't jump out of it. But I feel like they can trust the NBA players. Maybe they can just unscrew that locking screw and they can open the window.
Yeah, well, I don't know. If it gets too stanky, they might be leaping out of that thing. Some players aren't quite as jovial about the whole thing. Lakers player I don't know if I'm saying this one right. Rajon Rondo, Rajon.
Okay.
He took some heat. He's a Lakers player, and I only know that because, well, it says it in the article, but also Terrence weighed in.
Of course,
because Terrence is a Lakers fan. He took some heat in the New York Post and other media outlets when he sent out a pic on social media of his room at the Grandestino Tower. He tagged the NBA, comparing his room to a Motel 6 with a middle finger icon on it. So he's not loving it.
No.
But not for nothing, Motel 6 didn't skip a beat because they weighed in and replied, "We'll always leave the light on for him."
Which is literally the joke I was going to make. So you have to.
Yeah.
Hit that brand, baby, all the
Motel
time.
6 didn't miss it. So Rajon, not too happy with his new surroundings. As far as I can tell, he has since deleted the post, but it was too late. Rondo has made in excess of $100 million in his 14-year career. It didn't sit well with some fans, many of whom have been out of work since COVID-19 broke out and don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to fall back on, and many of whom would have to save for some time to treat their family to the accommodations that Rondo is turning his nose up at. Twitter erupted in commentary.
Of course they did.
After his complaining. Yes, they did, myself included. Here's one Twitter user. Millionaires crying like babies over a perfectly fine hotel room. LMAO, ho! Here's another guy. Yo, at Rajon Rondo. This room is nicer than your jump shot. What are you complaining about? Another Twitter user weighed in saying, imagine getting paid very well to play a sport while many people are still out of work and then complaining about a free hotel room. One guy who appears to be a member of the armed forces tweeted a picture of a trailer surrounded by sandbags saying, we were so happy in Iraq to get these trailer houses we called chews. Rondo, just remember, some people's jobs don't come with the same level of housing, which I think was a sick burn.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man.
I think it's good. And this is what bothers me.
Okay.
If I ever was on a work trip and I complained on social media about the quality of hotel that I was in, tagged my company, and put a middle finger, I would no longer be employed. I know that because it's that, like, that's a violation of, first of all, at most companies' social media policy. But this guy gets away with it. Why is that?
I don't know.
I don't think it's right. He's also not that good, allegedly. So,
Terrence, is he good? Apparently, it's Rashawn.
Rashawn. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know
it's
how.
Not spelled that way.
It's not spelled that way because it's Rajon.
Right. I'm not Jeremy.
I mean, you might be.
But I don't want to leave you on a sour note from Rashawn. There is another player who seems to be living his absolute best life in Disney World.
Okay.
Robin Lopez, or Rolo, of the Milwaukee Bucks. His Twitter looks like it could be mine.
Is he playing the recorder? Because I'll just lose it.
Oh, he's got a little bit to go there.
Okay.
He was on a Disney Cruise Line bus being transported around the resort when he tweeted a photo of the bus and said, "If I don't end up at Castaway Cay, why am I even on this bus?"
I've seen that photo floating around because I've now commandeered the EarzUp Twitter account from Maddie, and
yeah,
I saw
I've
that.
It.
Yeah, I know, and thanks. And,
it's been a lot of fun.
It's been great, and I'm like, what is this photo even? Like, I'm missing something. It's jumping into the middle of a conversation.
I think this guy's great. He got photos of himself playing in the hotel's arcade, having a great time. He even posted a picture of himself on the bed in the hotel watching the resort TV loop that features our famous and beloved Stacey J. Oswald, and asked why he even needed the NBA provided Fire Stick. He's watching resort TV and he's loving it. And then he posted a picture of Spaceship Earth saying, "I'm waiting for updates on what's happening over at Epcot." I mean, I am now a huge Rolo fan, Milwaukee Bucks all the way, and I'm getting a Rolo jersey.
Reach out to him for an interview. See if he'll come on the show. I would love to talk to him about what's happening. how the resort is, how he's being treated.
How he's liking it? I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
that would be wonderful.
Clearly,
But
clearly he's a fan. Clearly, he's a Disney World fan.
he's got to be a Disney World fan. I mean, he's pushing a picture of food. He's like, oh, Panchitos has the best assortment. I'm like, because he's at, I guess he's at Grand Destino Tower. So I want everybody to follow at RoLopez42 on Twitter. You got to follow this guy. He's great. He's a Disney fan and he's in the NBA. And he describes himself this in his Twitter profile. Yeah. He's the Screech Powers of the NBA. So it's not all bad down there. Don't let Rashawn leave you with a bad taste in your mouth, because Rolo's having a blast.
There you go,
guys.
There you go. Well, you know what? Speaking of people having a blast over there on the coast, it's official. 2 parts of Disney World opened just a few days ago, with others set to open later this week. Don't worry, this won't be another one of those rants where I yell and scream and wonder aloud how anyone can be so dumb as to go to a theme park, given that this country is a hot spot for COVID. I've already done that multiple times, and I like Jeremy too much to submit him to that again. Instead, the story is about how things are going in the open portions of both Disney World and Disneyland, and what the parks are doing about anything, if anything. Visitors to either coast's park are met with temperature checks even before they pass through security, despite the growing concern that external checks are not accurate, not proof of anything, and are reliant more on the user than the other traditional methods. Disney thinks this is some kind of deterrent. In downtown Disney, where our intrepid reporter and host of the Supreme Resort, Jimmy, visited for the grand opening of downtown Disney, guests were moved from the temperature checkpoint through security, where a cast member stood behind plexiglass, wearing both a face mask and a face shield. And this was the only cast member that was, and gloves, right? So everything was covered, but they were also standing behind the plexiglass. So clearly, in my opinion, that cast member seemed more concerned about catching COVID than just anybody else, or even sort of Disney is letting on, right? Like, the plexiglass and the mask to me are fine. I don't know why you need the face shield, but maybe this person was extra paranoid. I don't know.
Well, I think if you are a person who's interfacing with people all day long, like, you're the common denominator.
Yeah, but
right. So like, if Joe comes up to you, and then so I think that's great that this person is they're putting a stop to it. Like, everybody's coming to me. They're not going to, if anybody breathes or coughs, and he's not going to they're not going to reinfect themselves and then pass it on.
But if that's a concern enough to have the face shield even behind the plexi, why doesn't everybody have the face shield? Maybe the face shields are optional.
There are different levels of paranoia going on.
What do you mean by that?
Plexi,
I don't know.
A little excessive.
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, that's sort of the point, I guess. Yes, there were social distancing markers in downtown Disney for lines, but the pathways in between the shops in downtown, as well as in the common areas of Disney World, from the photos that I've seen, the distancing guidelines are thrown out the window. And I understand people need to get from one place to another, but that flies directly in the face of the mandated social distancing guidelines and for the things that Disney has been saying that they were going to implement social distancing. So when they say, social distancing, they have the markers, you can't stand within 6 feet of each other in lines or whatever, that doesn't mean that they're enforcing in the common areas. And to me, that's the big thing. So Jimmy and Dan and Eric and I, we all jumped on a conference call, so Jimmy could go and get infected with COVID. I mean, Jimmy could go to downtown Disney and just kind of see how everything was going. And this is the same thing I observed too, where the lines were fine. Most people were standing 6 feet apart or more. In some sections of lines that got too long, and then there were no markers, like at the, oddly enough, the pin trading booth outside of the monorail station next to the Rainforest Cafe. They had some markers, but I even Disney people didn't think people would wait in line for the pin trading booths, but they extended beyond the markers, right? So there were people waiting. It looked like 8 or 10 feet in between each other. So that was really good. I enjoyed seeing that. That was fine. But as Jimmy's walking through downtown Disney, he's getting brushed against. Like, people are brushing up against him. And he's like going 6 feet, Like leave, he's like he had to get out of everybody's way because it looked just like a normal day at downtown Disney.
Okay, but like, were
Hyperbole
they all?
aside, right?
Were people who were brushing against them wearing masks?
Yes, everybody's wearing masks, but
Okay.
But
Well, that's
masks-
what happens at the supermarket. I hate to tell you.
I don't go to the supermarket.
Well, a lot of people do, and
They
a lot of
shouldn't.
people who have to eat, and people like
I have
me
to eat
who live in
too.
New York. I live in New York City. I've been to the supermarket. How many times have I been?
I don't know.
You wear a mask, you wash your hands, you brush up against people. You're not gonna get it. It's fine.
Masks are not 100%. And
Nothing in life is 100%. I cross the road. I could get hit by a car. It's not 100%.
but if you cross the road, you're not going to get COVID. And if you stay home and don't go to Disney World or don't go to downtown Disney, your chances of getting COVID are much, much less. And that's with the
But
what I'm-
everything in
I
this
knew you
life
weren't gonna like
comes with
this.
risk.
I understand that. I know. But
So
in
you
most
go,
but
you
most
wear a
things
mask.
but most things in life you can mitigate that risk. So how important is it for you to wait in a 4-hour line to go to downtown Disney, to the world of Disney, to buy a $35 T-shirt with the chances of catching COVID? I'm just saying it's a chance.
That's these people's problem.
I
I wouldn't
understand.
wait in that 4-hour. I wasn't waiting in that 4-hour line last year when there was no COVID.
I
okay?
understand, and that's sort of my point, is that these people are going back to normal, and Disney is saying, oh, we're doing social distancing, but not in the common areas. So if it was so important for them to be doing social distancing in the lines, why isn't it important to do it in the common passing areas?
But if masks work, what's the problem?
It's not 100%.
Because everyone's like, wear a mask. Masks
no,
work.
but
That's
it's-
the hashtag, right?
It works to help block, but it doesn't completely remove the risk.
Right.
Right. So it's masks plus social distancing is the only way. But if you have people who aren't social distancing, then that risk level goes up, and you're sort of flying in the face of all of this PR that the parks have been pushing out about how everything's safe, we're all fine, like that cast photo where in Disney World where everyone's 6 feet apart, they're going, ah! That is not the reality at all.
And no, that's not the reality. You're right.
And that's really what I don't know. That sticks in my craw a little bit.
Well, you got a full craw.
I
over
really
there.
do. I'm going to get a
realize
second
that.
one here soon. For now, it seems that most people are obeying the mask rules. At least I haven't read any reports of CMs having to yell at anyone for not wearing theirs, but, what do I know? But I did read a rule about in Disney World that says if you do have your photo taken on a ride and you do not have your mask in that photo, Disney will not process that photo for you. This is from CNN. Quote, guests will not receive their ride photos if they are not wearing a mask on the ride. The public relations director at Walt Disney World confirmed to CNN that the company has an existing policy of suppressing photos if someone is doing something unsafe on the ride. Not wearing a mask would be consistent with that policy, which I agree with 100%. But
Sure.
what I was thinking about is, so does this mean that the photo won't even pop up on the board? Like if you go Flash Mountain on Splash Mountain, you know what I mean? Go, woo! Flop them out. It just doesn't
Yeah.
even pop up on the board, right? So I wonder if that's a thing. I'm very curious about all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that's great, but I think that's
God,
that's the system. That's the system working, right? Like those are the things that are being
Agreed.
put in place to
I like that.
alter behavior.
Aside from the potential COVID spread, there is another aspect of this should Disney reopen conversation, and that is quality of brand interaction. Disney is known for how it treats guests, right? I mean, that's its customer experience. We talk about that all the time on the show, about how nice people are. I mean, the whole reason Disney parks stand out is because of the cast members and how they treat us. I know it's theming and how they hide stuff or whatever, but really it is how the cast members make that park. It really, really is. So is that guest experience still reflective of a Disney park? I mean, the music's the same, and we still enjoy turning down Main Street to see the castle and smell the popcorn. But if we're focused on staying in our lanes, of not letting people get too close, of judging each other, of not wearing masks or standing too close to each other or whatever, well, is that really a Disney experience? Or are we just at a theme park? Or more importantly, is the reduced Disney experience really worth paying full admission for? And if it is, I think that only really serves to show Disney that we'll pay more for less. We are getting less experience for full price.
But I think I think it's an interesting question because
Thank you.
but our whole lives are less now. So we used to have great lives. We went to Disney for something better, right? But now everything's a little bit worse.
Mhm.
So it's like relative to my everyday, going to less Disney is still better than the crap I deal with living in my apartment 24 hours, a day. So I think like everything's just been kind of like taken down a few notches, including Disney. Like I can't assume that my day to day going to the grocery store, going here, going there, not being able to eat inside a restaurant but Disney's still gonna be the perfect place it always was. Like, no, it's down just as everything else. It's all down.
Yeah, and that's fine for now. But in a month, I don't know. Because I get it. Like once the floodgates are open, people are like, oh my God, this is Disney. This is sort of back to the way it was. And then you go and you experience it, and it's not back to the way it was. Like watching that video, watching Jimmy walk around like a maniac. At first I was hearing the music and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. You can hear the music and that dumbass fountain that they got in front of La Bea Bakery. And it's, everything's super loud, by the way, too, because there's not a whole lot of crowd noise drowning it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, this is insane. There's too many. I wouldn't enjoy myself. And maybe that's me. And maybe the people that are going are sort of proving that point of Disney really succeeds and thrives on nostalgia rather than any sort of current experience or enjoyment.
You're missing it. They're
How dare you?
Here you leave the world of today. Okay? That's what it says on the sign. The world of today is COVID. So you're getting the hell out of that as much as you can. They're not saying that it's going to be the perfect place that it always was. They're trying to take you as much out of the world of today as you can. So it's an escape from as much of the drudgery that we have been dealing with for the last 3 months. It's still an escape.
I agree with you, but my point is, how does that affect the brand as far as a customer experience standpoint? Over time, being open reduces the customer experience and reduces, in my opinion, the level of nostalgia for that park, because look, as Disney fans, we're already obsessed with the past. Anything that changes in that park is a blight on humanity, right? It should be burned and killed. So, we're already in that mindset as Disney fans. So you go to the park that's less than what it was 6 months ago, it's not going to be the same. And I don't know. I feel like it's not worth it just from the potential outbreaks and the spread or whatever, but also once people get this first trip out of their system, I don't see many people going back again. And I feel like that's going to be sort of like a brand knock on Disney. Their brand is going to, I don't know, take a little bit of a PR hit or maybe like a memory reduction. I don't know, whatever.
Possibly. I mean, I think a lot of people who go to Disney don't go like you and I. I think they go once a year. Like you're like, oh, I'm not going to go back next month. It's like, well, most people aren't going back next month.
50% of the guests at Disneyland are locals. So half of Disneyland's entrance
but still,
per day,
next month.
I don't know. I'm just
That's
saying,
a lot. I don't know. I guess I have a world perspective, a slightly more world perspective, but I think a lot of people aren't there every other day.
Well, I don't know. I feel like in Disneyland, it's very easy to go every day.
Right.
Actually,
I know people who live in LA and they go quite frequently. But then I also know people who live in LA and they go quarterly. It's like, it depends.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everything depends. But in general,
we're not the average Disney fan. I think that's the thing we have to remember.
Right. We are annual pass holders. No, we're not annual pass holders.
Right. And where are you going? Can't go to Canada. Can't go to Europe. So a lot of the options of travel are out of the question anyway. So take what you can get.
Yeah, but that's sort of all related. We can't go to Canada because we're going out and doing stuff, and we shouldn't be. We should be staying home. So in a couple of months, we can go to Canada. Speaking of going to Canada, the 21st Amendment
send you to Canada.
has been. Honestly, I've been pushing Taryn to start looking for jobs in Canada. I'm fed up, man. The 21st Amendment has been serving craft beer in the San Francisco Bay Area for 19 years. From their initial brew pub on 2nd Street, which is 2 blocks from Giant Stadium in San Francisco, to their production brewery and tap room across the bay in San Leandro. 21st Amendment is now available in 29 states, including in and around the parks. Next time you're in the city, visit the Brew Pub and shoot over to neighboring San Leandro to check out their new production brewery and tap room for great beers and good food. And be sure to ask for the 21st Amendment wherever you find good craft beer. All right, Jeremy, that's it. That's my story.
I like that.
Thanks,
I like
man.
that 21st Amendment.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. So you know how Disney has like the scooters?
The mobility, whatever's the Johns,
Right.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
help
yeah, yeah.
older people or people who have disability issues. They get around easier.
Yeah.
Well, they've caused a bit of a problem lately. Guests have been complaining for years that the amount of scooters in the parks has gotten out of control and blamed traffic jams and bottlenecks on them. But now they're getting blamed for something else. A college basketball player is claiming in a lawsuit against Disney that an accident with one of these scooters injured him, causing him to miss an entire season of play.
Wow.
Yeah. According to the lawsuit, in May 2018, David Maynard of Colgate University, which is in upstate New York, was walking in Disney's Hollywood studios when a scooter approached him from behind and ran into him, severing 97% of his Achilles tendon.
Whoa.
That's a big problem
Yeah.
if you are a jock.
That's right.
Causing him to need surgery and exhaustive rehabilitation. Maynard is seeking over $30,000 in damages in a lawsuit filed in Orange Circuit Court last month. His lawsuit states, quote, Maynard has suffered great pain and anguish of the body and mind. And he's accusing Disney of allowing scooters too close to pedestrians and not properly training the unknown driver of the Disney-owned scooter, among other allegations. Maynard, now a senior at Colgate, was the second most accurate three-point shooter on the team. So in case you don't notice, I like to keep my stories themed, basketball. I like to just keep it all like on the same plane. Jocks. To be sure, there has been a rise in scooter-related incidents at the parks. In fact, Maynard's lawsuit is the fourth scooter-related lawsuit filed in Orange Circuit Court just this year. However, since scooters carry the same legal protections as wheelchairs, Disney and other theme park operators cannot ban them from the parks, and controlling or limiting their use can be challenging, if not impossible. In September of last year, a man traveling on his scooter at a high rate of speed crashed into a woman's leg in front of Epcot's Mexico Pavilion, according to an Orange County Sheriff's report. When the victim yelled, "You hit me!" the man in the scooter continued on and ran over her foot. The driver rode away, but onlookers shouted him down. I don't know.
This is the world we live in, man.
I don't know what goes on down there. I mean, forget about masks.
These scooters. And those things clip, dude. Like, it's not like the ones at the store or whatever that go half a mile an hour. Like, those things.
They go. Sometimes I'm surprised. I'm like, what was that just went by?
Yeah.
I
think they go faster than Autopia cars.
I was like, what's Autopia? I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, what's
man.
Autopia?
Wow.
Yeah, those go slow.
Yeah.
But I think the scooters smell better.
That is true.
I feel like Autopia gives off a lot of gas fumes.
Yeah, I wonder why. Probably because they operate on gas.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why I come to you for the difficult questions.
Well, it was a difficult answer, let me tell you.
Not all the lawsuits come from non-users, though, Jason.
Okay.
Don't get it twisted.
I will never do that.
In March, a New York resident sued Disney after she said she tipped over on her scooter when the bus she and her scooter were riding on took a sharp turn.
Wait, she was in her scooter riding on the bus?
Yes, because when you take the intra-resort buses at Disney World, there's like the ramp comes down and you ride your scooter right onto the bus, and then they kind of just like strap it in there. So you sit on the scooter while it's going, but you're strapped. So she said it tipped over. Now, I don't know how that happened, if it was properly strapped in.
Right.
I don't have a degree in physics, though, so I presume this is possible, or she wasn't properly strapped in. We don't know. That lawsuit has not been adjudicated yet. So that's really the story. Scooters causing some problems, but obviously they're necessary. But some people getting run into by scooters, and lawsuits are taking over the orange courts in Florida.
Bless. Man, I could
I don't
not
know what's going on.
imagine being a college basketball player and having your Achilles tendon essentially severed.
Jeez.
I mean, what does that do for your career? For the rest of your career, if you're lucky still enough to have one, you're going to be wondering. Anytime you're in a slump, you're going to be wondering back to that moment.
Well, I went to school in upstate New York, and Colgate's a wonderful university, but I don't know how many students they're seeding to the NBA. I think this was, I mean, I don't know what first of all, he was the second best. He wasn't the best 3-point shooter. I don't know how many students are coming from school. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Colgate has tons of students going, but I went to Syracuse, and it was always we're playing Colgate. It's no big deal.
Still, I don't know, man. That would be maybe this was the one.
Obviously, we wish him well. I hope that he resumes. I hope he's done his rehabilitation. His surgery was successful, and he resumes his career. And I wish him the best. Maybe in the next COVID breakout, he will be the one complaining about the rooms at Grand Destino.
I mean, this is sort of like the medical passes or whatever for the lady with kids who have autism, right? That lawsuit that just kind of got settled. What's Disney supposed to do in this case? Like, they're supposed to make sure that it's not like a forklift where you have a license to drive the stupid thing.
I know.
They're relying on a certain sort of decorum or knowledge base from the end user of the scooter to not run into people. But it is an accident, so I get that. But also, those scooters are vicious. Strollers are worse. Because nobody cares with a stroller. At least people I've seen with scooters, they're generally elderly folks who sort of do have some sort of compassion for everybody and try not to clip heels. But
I have seen a few going a bit too fast.
Yes, for sure. But all in all, stroller pushers, they don't care. And as a former stroller pusher, I didn't care. That's not true. I cared a lot. I cared too much, which is my problem in life.
Well, you're very conscientious. I've seen them go very fast. I don't know. I think it's, I mean, I've seen them go too fast. What bothers me about the scooters is when they beep at me. But like, we're not that far away. Like, you could just be like, hey, I'm over here on the left. Like, you hear the beep and then you turn around and the person's like here. You're like, oh, hi. It's like, you could have just used words. Like, we're human beings. We can communicate that way. You don't have to just, it's like, okay. Like, just be like, hey, excuse me, I'm coming through. I'm passing you because I'm going too fast in my scooter. That's what anyway, that's my story.
Yeah, well, you know what? Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I say.
As I'm sure you've heard by now, Jeremy, Hong Kong Disneyland is rolling back its reopening efforts amid a resurgence of coronavirus infections in the country. And I'm sure you're asking, just how many qualifies as a resurgence, Jason? I'm glad you asked that, Jeremy. The number is 52.
That's the number of new cases?
Yeah, and I want you to think about that for just a second. Hong Kong had 52 new cases of COVID in one day, which I believe was yesterday, which was a decent-sized jump from the 37 the previous day and 29 the day before. And the government puts a serious halt on their reopening. As of midnight tonight, I think my Greenwich Mean Time is a little funky, Hong Kong is implementing a series of measures to regain some control over the fresh outbreak. Face masks will be mandatory for people using public transportation, and restaurants will only be able to provide takeaways after 6 p.m. Anyone who does not wear a mask on public transportation risks a fine of $645 US.
Okay.
Which I like, personally, but, whatever. Group gatherings will again be limited to 4 people, which is a measure last seen during a second wave in March. Gyms as well as indoor entertainment centers will also have to close. Among the new cases recorded from July 7th to July 13th in Hong Kong, there were 181 cases in people who had no travel history during the incubation period, the statement noted. So they're sort of like, these people aren't going anywhere, so it's still, traveling around within Hong Kong, so we got to clamp down. We got to clamp down to eradicate it, to push it out of here. Meanwhile, on the same day, Hong Kong registered 52 new cases and began to shut down certain high-risk areas, like Disneyland, apparently. The state of Florida registered 12,624 new cases of COVID. To find a date where Florida was anywhere close to 52 cases, you have to go all the way back 5 years ago to March 19th, when the state hit 55 in one day. And it was all uphill from there. Hong Kong Disney is closing its doors in order to comply with government regulations. And while I do agree that 52 cases is a very, very small number, it is also really the best way to prevent long-term outbreaks from happening again. It's a lesson that we in the U.S. aren't too open to learning. Over on the West Coast, Orange County, education leaders voted recently, actually yesterday, 4-1 to reopen schools in the fall without required face masks or social distancing. Yesterday, there were 540 new reported cases of coronavirus in Orange County, with no signs of that slowing down. A white paper, which is just like guidelines or whatever, was issued by the Education Board, who, again, voted on their own white paper. I don't know. So the white paper states in part, quote, among the many compelling expert arguments for reopening our schools, a number of us were also struck by something different, something we might call advice for adults. Among our greatest responsibilities as adults is our responsibility to model courage and persistence in the face of uncertainty and fear, which is what many families are feeling with the mixed messages and confusion surrounding reopening of schools in the COVID-19 era. It goes on to state that requiring children to wear masks was not recommended, given that it is, quote, not only difficult, if not impossible to implement, but is not based on science and, quote, may even be harmful. And I'm very pissed off, actually, about that, because they first start to go on about courage and persistence in the face of uncertainty. There's nothing uncertain about what's happening right now. Masks and social distancing work. Every doctor is saying that. There is no harm in wearing masks. And these idiots are trying to, again, mixed messages. They even say there's fear with many families are feeling with mixed messages and confusion. They are providing the mixed messages and confusion. It's the same thing. The masks are not harmful. You do not breathe in toxins. It does not cause mildew in your lungs. I've seen all kinds of shit online. I argue with people all the time on Facebook about this. And people have called me a sheep and tell me that government wants to control me because that's why I'm wearing a mask, is because I let the government tell me what to do and all this kind of crap. And it comes down to this. We are showing our kids now that science doesn't matter. And that is the problem in this country right now. And for the last few years, nothing is, if it's based on science, it doesn't matter because it's what you think is fine. That's what the case is. Science doesn't matter anymore. And I'm upset about it. Meanwhile, in LA and San Diego counties, they've already announced the coming school year will be done via social distancing, distance learning even, and children will not be returning to public schools. So, bringing this back to Disney for just a second, what does this all mean for the reopening of Disneyland, which still has not been announced, and it got pushed back recently, even though downtown Disney is currently open. Considering nothing Orange County is doing is for the benefit of its residents and is seemingly more for political grandstanding, I can't see COVID cases declining in Orange County anytime soon, and I am a scientist. And even if Disneyland does reopen, it's entirely possible that once the school year arrives, there will be even a larger spike than we're seeing now if school districts abide by these so-called recommendations by the board. The silver lining here is the board has no sort of authority to implement these changes or these recommendations. It's school district by school district. So they just write all this crap down. They could say, we recommend that everyone smell their own farts. The school district doesn't have to do anything about that. So far, what we know about how COVID mixes with children comes from these kids being at home with their families, not in school around other children who are potentially asymptomatic. These kids could just be super carriers, picking the disease up at home or at school and bringing it home to spread, and then possibly going to Disneyland for the friggin' weekend. Like, it makes no sense why we're opening up a Disneyland or talking about it, or even sections when we have giant uncontrolled outbreaks. Meanwhile, other countries are being responsible and closing down when they have 52 in one day. And I don't know. I feel, if I'm honest right now, I feel like we don't know what we're doing, and we're sort of just left cast adrift in this ocean. And I'm very uncertain about the future, and I feel very, I don't know, agitated.
Oh, I can tell that you're agitated.
Yeah.
You're obviously bothered by this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what to say to assuage you.
Oh, you can't.
I know. I've tried.
I just don't. It really, it's the school, and maybe it's the parent in me, right? But the school thing really bothers me. And you know, you can say, oh well, they're low risk activities, like we were talking about earlier, Jer, about going to the supermarket, and you have your mask and whatever, and that's fine. But it's the school board saying that masks don't work and can cause harm, which is factually incorrect. Looking at every other country in the world who is implementing them has less cases than us and is on the decline, and we are on the rise, and we can't even agree on basic facts of physics. And it just it unnerves me and makes me think that we are on lockdown a lot longer than we need to be, because there are groups of people in this country that do not agree on the basic fundamentals of personal protection.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I remember way back when, in the beginning of this, when they were telling us not to wear masks, like literally, like don't wear masks. And I was like, I don't have a degree in immunology or physics, but I'm pretty sure I know why people wear masks.
Yeah.
I know that it's because you prevent the spread of disease with it.
Well, and they came out.
Let's wear them.
Yeah, well, and they came out and said, you know, like a month later, like, yeah, we said that so there wouldn't be a run on the medical grade masks for our hospitals. Meanwhile,
right, but they didn't tell us not to wear. Right, but like,
you're right.
It's face coverings too, right? Like they could have been like, listen, guys, could you stay away from the surgical, like the hospital masks, but could you maybe cover your face? Like, but the way they said it was, it doesn't have any effect. It's actually more harmful. They told us masks are doing more harm than good. We were told that, right, by the CDC. So
I remember that. I've never heard that.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to send you a clip of it.
I believe you.
Masks will do more harm than good. So but I remember thinking that. I'm like, that doesn't really make sense, because otherwise, why do doctors and nurses wear masks?
Right. Well, and I think
sure there's a reason for it.
A couple shows ago, when I was reporting on Hong Kong Disney opening, I did a whole thing about it, where that's how Hong Kong reduced their cases to 1,100.
Yes, you were tripping over yourself, praising the people of Hong Kong for going against their leadership. I mean, I listened to it for 20 minutes. So I wonder, this is why it's so striking to me, because it's obviously what happened.
They opened Disneyland.
Hong Kong took a left turn.
They opened Disneyland. They opened
That's causing all the problems.
They opened gyms, they opened theaters, they opened Disneyland. Yeah. And there was a spread. There's also a little bit more travel. So I read somewhere, and I guess I forgot to put in, but 41 of those 52 cases were non-traveling people. So it's still spreading in the country. But I think, and I don't know, because nobody knows, because it just happened yesterday, right? But Disneyland, you have to look at that kind of thread of, you have more people in an area, and people in Hong Kong are fanatical about wearing masks and doing all the kind of stuff. They've done it countless numbers of times before. Some of them do it just all over the place. Even in an area like that, where they're used to doing it, there's still outbreaks when people are in large groups. So what makes us over here think that we can do that when we have 12,600 in one day? I don't think it's possible. I really don't. I think it's a big mistake, and we all just need to clamp down for 4 weeks again, 5 weeks. Everyone wear masks, and it'll just the numbers will cave, dude. I'm telling you.
Right. Well, I agree. I mean, I think we should be all be wearing masks.
Yeah.
But people aren't. It
No.
seems in parts of the country. I mean, here
We're not. We're just not. I don't know why.
but it's been mandatory in California for over 30 days.
Well, it's people outside. Okay, again, I don't go anywhere, and this is part of the thing. This is part of my frustration, and I'll stop because we'll end the show because it's just me complaining. I don't go anywhere. I get my groceries delivered because I have number one, I'm paranoid. Number two, I have a family, and I don't want. Number three, I don't want. It's not that I'm afraid to die from it. I just don't want to get it. I don't want to get that sick and have those long-term 3-4 month conditions that are now people are starting to report on. I just don't want any of it. I want to stay away from it, and that's fine. But you look outside or we go for walks, and there are people passing by. That we have food trucks out here for some friggin' reason. And people are walking up to it with no masks on. There's no mask. There's no masks. There's no mask anywhere. People are waiting in line, and it boggles my mind. I don't understand it. And I go, this is exactly why we are still in this mode, is because people do not respect it. And it bothers me.
Yeah, I do not understand the idea of not wearing a mask. I can't quite wrap my head around it. Even in my apartment building, I get people try to come on the elevator with me and they have no mask on. And I'm like, look, you probably don't have it. I probably don't have it. I know I don't have it. But like, it's just a common courtesy. At this point, it is the same as not wearing a bare midriff in public. Like, I don't want to see your fat stomach. Okay. We do things as a courtesy, right? So I don't want to see what you have on you. I don't want to see your tramp stamp. I don't want to see any of it. It's called being polite. You are polite to other people. Part of that is wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And so I get very annoyed.
I mean,
but that's I don't know what to say.
So Kay Folkman
Wear
in
a
the
mask.
chat just sort of made my point. In Japan, they say
She lives in Japan.
People will wear masks if they even have the slightest cough to protect others around them. It's a cultural norm. I think that has that. I don't know why we can't just adopt that. I don't know when at this point or in this country we got sort of like skewed as our rights are being infringed on. People go, well, it's the government wants to control you, so they make you wear a mask. And this is literally a conversation I have with people online, and I go, to what end? To control me to what end? I go, you're typing this as you're paying taxes. Isn't that the same? It's the same thing. It makes no sense. And so now I'm trying to flip it. Anybody listening, if you have these conversations and drives you up the wall, flip it on them like I do. I go, you know what? The government doesn't want you to wear masks because they want to control you by keeping you sick. To me, that makes much more sense in some weird conspiracy theory. I don't think that's true. I think our government just doesn't care. But I'm just saying, if you want to like sort of combat conspiracy theorists like this, if you flip it on them a little bit and give them a little bit more of an edge, that keeping us sick makes more sense to control us rather than wearing a mask. It's like wearing underwear control. It doesn't make any sense. People are insane, and I just can't take it anymore, dude. I'm gonna
but
move
why
to
are
Canada
you getting in fights with people online?
because this is what I do. Because
You've got to stop. You're
have too
driving
many
yourself
opinions.
nuts. You're in that house and you're just fighting with people online.
I have too much to say. That's why I have the stupid podcast. I have 400 podcasts because I have too many opinions that are all terrible.
You've got to stop. I don't want you online anymore.
You're gonna pull the plug.
I'm cutting your cord. How about that? That's what's happening. Because also people fight online. People fight in memes.
Well, you know what?
30-second words, little short tweet. It's all like beep, 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 beep. No one's having a thoughtful, well-reasoned conversation online.
Well, but that is what I'm trying to do. So I'm not just like making fun of people or whatever, or attacking them. I'm trying to ask these people because I do really want to get to the bottom of why people think this way. Like we're talking about, science doesn't matter. Masks are harmful. Why are people still thinking this way? And all you do is you ask. So I say I'm getting in fights. It's not really fights. Some of it has devolved into that. But It's why are we operating on stuff that we were told in March? It's July. Like, we know so much more about everything. Everything is out in the open. Why are we still having battles about not wearing a mask and going to the bar? I just don't understand it. And so that's all I do. I just ask, like, where is this even coming from?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think you've got to relax. I want you to stop with the fighting online. I don't want you
Okay.
debating anyone online anymore.
Yes, Dad.
And I think you can also loosen up. I think you can let
I know.
Taryn wear a mask and some gloves. Let the woman go to Trader Joe's. She's
No.
dying to get there.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
And she is not going to bring back anything.
You don't know that. There's still a risk. It's a low risk, but it's a risk, and I would prefer we are at a point where I can mitigate that risk. So why not mitigate it? Why not? There's no reason.
Because you're
to
in
though.
that house. You haven't had any exposure to anyone in the world, and you're going crazy fighting online. I want you to stop. I want you to relax. Because also, I think if you have a trip to Trader Joe's and realize you won't get sick, you're going to feel like, okay, I can take reasonable.
No, you don't
I can
understand
take
me.
reasonable precautions.
You don't
and
understand
be okay.
me. No, you'd have no idea who I am. For the next 2 weeks after that, I will be convinced I'm dying.
Look,
And to me, with my anxiety, it's not worth it. That is not worth it. That level of 2 weeks of anxiety is not worth going and getting, chocolate-covered espresso beans from friggin' Trader Joe's or cauliflower gnocchi, which is very good.
Maybe Taryn wants some
No.
good. Maybe she needs a bit of a minute outside of the house.
No, she gets none. She gets none of it.
She is stuck in there with you.
Yeah. God bless Taryn.
I want to send her a lifeline, and
Free Taryn.
I think it would be beneficial to everyone, including me. But also, look, I was on a plane probably 4 times in March when this thing was ravaging New York City. But I wore a mask, I sanitized my hands, and I came it through. Because you just gotta be smart.
Whatever. We're done here. We're done here. Why do I have to download this now? It's so stupid.
We're going to have more news in 2 more weeks we've got to get ready for.
That's right.
Who knows what we could be talking about in 2 more weeks? Maybe we'll be talking about reduction in cases. Wouldn't that be nice?
It really would.
Maybe we'll be talking about how great my trip to Disney World was.
Don't even.
I'm not going in 2 weeks.
Don't even get me started. God, you know what? I need to fix this. I really need to fix this stupid thing.
It says you're quarantining fresh food.
Of course I am.
Well, you have to stop. That's ridiculous. You can bring food in the house. You're not going to get it from like that.
Here's the thing. I keep trying to tell everybody. I'm trying to leave, first of all. But I keep trying to tell everybody. I am not a normal person. But this makes me feel like I have some control over what's happening. And I'm okay with it. I don't think I'm, I don't think I have a sickness. I mean, I do, but I think it's fine. And I think if more people took half of the precautions I did, we wouldn't see so many cases. And that's just it. That's it.
What you just said is absolutely right. Half the precautions that you're taking, we'd be fine. I agree.
Thanks. I'm glad you agree with me. All right. I know what you did, dude. All right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening live. Sorry to ramble on and on about this. I'm getting tired of it. I'm sure you are too. Please support the show. Patreon.com/EarzUp. Jeremy from SpectroRadio.us. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Whatever, dude.
What a delight. You're doing good, Jace. You're doing good.
Yeah, and Terrence is in the chat going, well, you're quarantining fresh food, blah, blah, blah. And, and I know, like, Angry Rebecca is an ER nurse, but I feel like if you're more exposed in that regard, then it's a little bit easier to sort of go and do stuff and buy food and deliver it to people and be St. Terrence. I get it. But we don't leave the house ever, so we're just in hunker down mode. So I feel like that's just the best way to deal with it for me. Not for everybody, but for me, that's how I can I can maintain some control mentally, and that's for me. That's what it's all about.
Look, I understand where you're coming from. My mom is actually really ill right now, or she's sick right now. So
Hell sick.
I'm going up to see her this weekend. But I've been isolating for the last 2 weeks because I'm like, I don't want to add. I couldn't, but I mean, I went to the supermarket today, but like, I'm not hanging out with friends. I'm not seeing people. When I go to the supermarket, I'm in gloves and mask and everything else. So
here's the thing.
My definition of isolating is probably a little bit different than yours, but I am limiting my exposure as much as I can because I do think that you have, in a situation like that, you have to be very careful.
Here's the thing, and the last thing, and then I really do got to go because I'm going to say goodnight to Alice.
Are we still recording?
No, we're not recording. We're just hanging out. We're live though. I know you did, Terrence. I love you. I'm just kidding. We're gonna open up our house to Terrence's family, to Terrence's family, or to Terrence's parents, soon in 2 weeks. Her dad just got cleared to not report into work, so he can work from home, and her mom doesn't work. So
good.
I was like, look, we'll both parties will stock up on groceries. We won't leave the house for 2 weeks, and they can come over, and we don't have to mask up at that point.
Right.
But it's that hard 2 weeks of not going to the store that makes that. But this is how I can justify seeing people and not worrying about the mask stuff is if I know, because I can't control. It's like the reason I didn't ride a motorcycle. I really want to ride a motorcycle in my early 20s. I trust myself, but I don't trust other people. And so I didn't do it because my life isn't worth trusting everybody around me. I'm not a very trusting person. So with this kind of stuff, I'm quarantined. Well, I mean, I had to go to a doctor's appointment, or I had to go to the store. Like, to me, that just, I don't like it. So anyway, I'm working on it. But at the same time, that's where, if you want to be on my level, that's where you got to be. You got to be quarantining for 2 weeks, and then you can come into my house. 15 days.
Yeah, but your quarantine is very strict.
Yeah. I think that's
you're not letting them go to the store.
I know, but if you look at where how these cases are spreading after the release of the quote lockdown, it's from family parties. It's family functions. It's people who aren't doing this. Anyway, I don't know. I gotta go. I'll come back and talk to you if you want to hang out some more. And we don't. But I don't want to talk about COVID anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Doesn't seem like that, but I hear you. No, listen. I want you to have a wonderful night. I'm gonna go watch the Betty Broderick's finale because I've been waiting for it all week.
I don't know what that means.
Dirty John, Betty Broderick. It's the greatest thing on FX.
Hold on. Dirty. Oh yeah, I know the Dirty John.
Well, this is the new. It's the new John. It's about Betty Broderick. She killed her husband, Dan Broderick. He left her for Linda Kilkenna in the 80s, and then she shot them both.
Oh, my goodness.
It was originally portrayed by